Hi everybody, Psychic Medium Maria Lupita here. Happy Sunday. Man, oh man, are we coming down from a doozy of a week, right? It has been some pretty intense energy. I've tried to record a video over the last 3 days and my attempts were futile. When I really attempted to do that, it triggered a lot of different things within me that I really had to go quiet and be introspective to try to figure out. And although this Facebook page says that I'm an astrologer, I am not. I am very attuned to nature. I like natural cycles and rhythms that I naturally fall into, but I am not an astrologer. That's the only category that Facebook had that actually combines psychic with astrologer, so that's an interesting thing. I typically find myself in a state of either mind or being or something that I'm challenged with, and I'll experience it first. I will be introspective about it to really discover what might be happening within me. And then I'll start to talk to somebody, either my sister Daniela or my daughter Bianca, my best friend Loretta, or other people, and just discover that they too are experiencing something similar. So after I discover it and after I go deep within, I ask for the guidance and what is necessary for the moment in order to overcome whatever it is that we're experiencing. And so that's the one thing that we have to do, is allow ourselves to go deep within when we're having those moments and see what guidance actually comes up for us. And only after the fact, when I actually look elsewhere and I discover through astrology that there's actually is something happening on this greater, bigger scale. I'm fascinated by astrology. I think that it's really interesting to know that what happens again on the micro, the deep within, inside, the microscopic, also happens on the macro, the bigger, the greater, the without. So we are all inter and intra connected into this great web that we call this energy of life, and we are not separate. So whatever is happening out there with these greater celestial bodies are also characteristics and experiences and things that we too as humans are experiencing. The ancients of days knew this way back in the past. And if you have difficulty understanding or even accepting astrology for whatever belief you might have, and especially in my religion, I'm born and raised Catholic, and we were taught that that is something that we shouldn't mess with, something that we shouldn't seek. And for quite a while there, it was something that was so taboo. So the first time I was trying to experience it, I was really torn, because at first I felt like it was something wrong, and then I finally understood truly what it really is. We fear what we don't understand, and if that is something that you're struggling with, there's also some passages in the Bible, and I think the best way to describe it is that the way that the wise men, those were those that served as the wisdom keepers. The 3 wise men found the location of the birth of Jesus, and they followed and knew about his birth because of the stars. They followed the guidance of the cosmos and the stars, which led them directly to Jesus. And so that is one perfect example. It doesn't call it astrology. It's not a word that they used in those ancient days. But when they said they actually looked to the stars and found those wisdom, that is what they were talking about. So we are coming down from a major week. I had really had to look within myself, because a lot of my own patterns that I was overcoming and thought I had overcame really were triggered up for me. So I had to really think about it and really go within and really understand why. So we go through these natural rhythms and cycles so that we can show ourselves our own evolution. When we have struggles in life that are life issues, that's exactly what it takes, is oftentimes a lifelong to process, understand, and overcome. So our life struggles, again, it's a continuation over a life of development. And so for me, it really does show up in terms of work, overwork, overthinking, also even the reverse, procrastination, and also perfectionism. Those are ways that my past shows up to show me how I'm actually working. Those are my life issues. Those are the things that actually came up this week. So as I mentioned, I tried to record 3 different videos, and when I went back to listen to them and watch them, they made no sense. And that showed me that I was forcing the process. And because I was forcing the process, I felt like this need to control it. And the more that I tried to control it, the more that I felt this need or this necessity, this fervor inside to do something of my own action rather than quiet my mind, listen, and go within. So when we take action without that guidance, we fight against ourselves. We find that our actions are futile. We end up having to work harder than we would if we would have just taken the pause to begin with. I too, like I said, am human. I have so many different experiences and trials and challenges, just like everybody else. And so I too seek out oftentimes, as I said before, expressing with others. And I was recently given some extraordinary insight and guidance from a fellow intuitive that told me 2 things. The first thing was, in this process, when I'm feeling this negativity, to not disallow it. It's like thanking our angels of light as well as thanking our angels of dark. We have both, and I'll explain that into a future episode. So we have energies, beings that are willing to help us, and whatever their energies are, and both of them serve for our greatest good. The second thing that I learned was to take the time that I need. When we operate outside of time, it's something that we have to really learn how to manage. When I say we, I'm talking about psychics and mediums and intuitives. I also have studied 8 years of traditional shamanic studies, and in that shamanic tradition, we'll also say that it's a time where we have to be introspective. It's a time when we really have to go within, and we take those journeys to really understand for ourselves. And so in understanding all of those different things in the shamanic journey, oftentimes when we operate in that way, and Dr. Alberto Vialdo explains it perfectly in a video that he posted on September 4th, and I'll see if I can put a link here. But people who practice in traditional shamanic traditions operate in a bubble of time and a bubble of protection that is immersed within a sea of time. So many times I feel like I'm out of sync with time. And if you've had a session with me, you know that. What feels like 5 minutes for me could be 3 hours to another person. And that's something that I have to really manage and watch. And so when we are trying to control a process, trying to force the process, trying to force an outcome rather than allowing the process to flow and unfold naturally, we can get caught up in these behaviors and these patterns and rhythms and routines that are self-sabotaging to us. And that is what came up for me. So I had to really look within and really understand, like, wow, I thought I overcame this. Now, if you've been with me for over the years, you'll know that this is probably my 3rd attempt to really come out and be of service to humanity in a really public, big way. And so in order for me to step into that role, I had to be faced with similar challenges that I was faced with before to determine if I overcome. Was there growth in that? Those things that held me back before, do they still exist within me now? Are those things that I have truly overcome? So those things kind of trickled and prickled up for me this week, and I had to really go within myself and to say, no, that no longer does affect me. That no longer has power over me. And so now I choose something different. And so that's what this is about. So I went deep. I went in to feel what all of this is, our own self-sabotaging behaviors, our own releasing, and how that comes up. And also, oftentimes that comes up with a prickly feeling. Sometimes there's a feeling of aggression. Oftentimes there's other things that come up with that as well, that we have to really look within ourselves. So that was the experience of the last few days leading up to last night. And so, as I mentioned, I'm not an astrologer, but last night I was in this deep place of just thinking, and I was in my bathroom, honestly, and I have this sliding window, and as I was just looking up towards this window, all of a sudden I saw the moon. The moon has been amazing this week. And then all of a sudden I saw this bright object right next to it. So I had to go out and look. I actually have an app that I have to look at and say, okay, show me what this celestial body is. And it's, I'll try to find the link of that app if that's something that you're curious about, because I'm fascinated with the cosmos. What happens in the greater also is something that happens within. And what I discovered, that this bright, brilliant body of light next to the moon was Mars. So if you are an astrologer, please forgive me, I'm going to botch this. If you're new to all of this energy, this will make sense to you. So the only thing that I know is the energy of Mars is that it is combative. It's about action. It's about our passions. And it also has to do with a lot of fire energy. And what I discovered, because I had to go and look up this information after it was given to me through a channeling. Now, let me pause here for a moment. I'm introducing a new concept that in addition to being a psychic and a medium, I'm also a channeler. A channeler is a person who is able to receive that guidance by separation of their own consciousness and allowing that stream of consciousness to come through without interpretation or filter. I'm not the interpreter. It comes through me with just myself separating. I'll explain that in a future video. So oftentimes I will be in a state of prayer and question. God, give me guidance, and God, just show me. My angels and my guides, I am really struggling with this right now, so show me. I am being faced with old behaviors and thoughts and feelings that I thought I overcame, so God, help me. And so when I do that and I quiet my mind, the guidance comes. That's prayer. That's the other half of prayer. Prayer is not about stating our needs and our wants. Prayer is about gaining clarity for it, but more so listening. And so channeling is a little bit different in that there's, again, a constant stream of consciousness that flows through. So oftentimes, and the first time that happened, I started to record it. And so this just comes with a whole stream of information that I end up having to listen to later and decipher and understand for myself. And so when I go in to look for myself and I listen in that state of prayer and reverence, asking and wanting guidance, it's given. And oftentimes messages and guidance will come for loved ones, but it always seems relevant. Whatever I happen to be going through and experiencing, many more are also experiencing the same thing, which just shows that we're all immersed within the same energy. We may think that we only have these challenges, but we discover that the rest of us do as well. When we can share our experience and vulnerability and trust, and with an openness and a desire to help each other heal, then we can create something miraculous. And so this is my effort to share it with you. So I ended up looking at it, and I found there's two sites that I follow. One of them is called Mystic Mama, and another one I found and discovered today is called Astro Butterfly. And everything that I was given and told through this channeling and seeing last night through the moon, as well as recording this guidance, when I went and I looked it up, of course, it's this always happens with me, which I find fascinating, that I'll have an experience first, and then when I seek to understand it, I'll get the validation of everything that has come up. So when I went to read this article, sure enough, it said that Mars is going into some retrograde, which means that it just has to do with the orbits of how they ellipse the sun and how they orbit. Sometimes it gives the perception that they're moving backwards when they really aren't. And there is a lot of evidence and guidance and belief that when planets tend to do that, that same energy that is represented within us, all energies of Mars, passion, excitement, getting things done, all things combated, competition, all of those energies are also going to be evoked and stirred within us. And so I discovered that was what's happening. And apparently there's also some kind of, it's called a square, which means it's a confrontation against what's called a stellium of planets. A stellium is is a connection of multiple planets that are very, very close in connection to each other. And so that is what's happening on the cosmos. And so we're feeling it inside. So what does any of that mean? It gives me a sense of peace of mind to know that I'm not crazy. So when I'm feeling all of these feelings that seem to come out of the blue, and when I go inside to feel it, and then I discover what it is, and even though I want to blame somebody else, thinking, gosh, how did they, or how could they say that? Don't they know how they hurt me? Really, it's everything going on inside of my own mind. And so it is up to me to not lash out at that other person and take full responsibility for everything that is coming up inside. If I'm willing to take that step first, I can really save myself and the other person a lot of heartache. Because once our words are spoken, they can never be taken back. Words are like spells that weave hurt or harm or beauty and blessings. So there's something that we really need to pay attention to. So if we're feeling prickly, it's up to us to step away. And so that also has come up again this week. So again, all energies of Mars. So what does that mean? Be gentle with ourselves. That these are energies that are happening in the cosmos that are also being stirred up within ourselves. We're not the only ones experiencing it. Everybody's experiencing it. We would be remiss and we would be so small-minded to think that humans are not affected by the moon. Who do we think we are? More than percentage of our body is made up of waters when the moon governs all of the waters of this entire planet, the ebb and the flow of the entire ocean. That it is actually proven that the pull and the gravity of the moon can actually change the shape of the planet because of its gravitational pull. So who are we to think that we are not affected by celestial energies? It can help provide guidance and insight into ourselves if we're willing to. So what is our next steps is to take a break. If some stuff has prickled up within you that you're needing to release, old patterns or programs that you're checking in with yourself, did you do better? When we know better, we do better. That's the quote from Maya Angelou, that I learned through Oprah Winfrey. When we know better, we do better. And I hold on to that. So we can either repeat patterns or we can be willing to learn and grow from it. If we have engaged in bad behavior, may we be willing to own it and apologize. If we ourselves have been hard on ourselves, be gentle. Gosh, it says in the Bible that, treat unto your neighbors the way you want to be treated, but we treat our neighbors better than ourselves. So treat yourself the way you treat your neighbors. Think about that one. So let all of that go. Be introspective. If some things have prickled up and within you, be willing to go within. You're not alone. There's a lot that's happening out there. And in my attempt to make those 2 videos, I sounded like a crazy person. I recognize that there's no context or background that a lot of you may have. So as I go into a lot of these videos, again, I know one of my biggest fears was sounding like a crazy psychic person and using the words of a client sounding like a crazy cat person from Santa Fe. So I don't want to portray that. I am human, just like everybody else, and I'm normal as normal can be. I feel and experience just like you do. So, I want these videos to be clear and concise, and I don't want them to, I don't want to force the process. So I'm going to just allow the process to evolve. And I realize that all of this energy and excitement of wanting to do this work and to share these videos and insights and guidance that I've had has been developing and building within me for the last 10 years. And so I cannot expect for everything that I've been developing for 10 years to instantly come out within a week. And so I have to learn how to pace it in order to keep myself healthy. So the way that I'm going to look at it is that this has now become an extension of me. It's a part of me. It's a new habit, if you will. It's something that I'm trying to incorporate in my life. And just like with any other practice or habit or something that you're wanting to create in your life, it's going to take time and practice and patience. So I may have slipped into an old behavior or feeling, but this is evidence and the proof of the growth. So I hope this helps in some way. So thank you so much for being here, for continuing on this journey. I'm not going to post a video for about a week. What I've discovered is that I have a lot of content from the videos that I've already posted, and a lot of you have some curiosities about it. I'm going to consider the next video to be strictly just about my background so that I can give you background, context, and content. So for future videos, when I talk about certain topics, you'll understand what they mean. And the other thing is, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for being here and open up another available source for perhaps for your help. So in addition to everything that I do, I also have a certification as a tea trainer and a master trainer out of Stanford University School of Medicine Patient Education Department. When Dr. Kate Lorig retired from Stanford University, she was able to, of course, all of her content and the programs that she developed that became hers, they have now created an independent agency called the Self-Management Resource Center, or the SMRC. Because of this work that I do, I have a contract with the New Mexico Department of Health. I am able to put on workshops, 6-week workshops for folks all over the state who are learning skills and techniques and tools to help them manage everyday conditions. Now, gosh, we all have everyday conditions. Just being alive today, and especially in this COVID environment, we all have stress. We all have isolation. We have a lot of different issues. Managing our chronic conditions and is become more and more difficult, and getting the help that we need is more difficult. So this is one of the things that I do. So the reason that I'm not going to be putting a video is because I have that contract, and part of that contract requires that I submit a report. In order to continue this great work that we're doing, we have to prove that we're doing great work. So I'm going to put a pause on the videos, see if I can get some assistance to find some photos for things that I've posted in the videos, and kind of keep that going. And in the meantime, if you have questions, continue to reach out to me about curiosities that you may have, or topics that you have. So this course that I teach is through the Self-Management Resource Center, and another link that I will put is through the Path to Health New Mexico. There is so much evidence-based programs that are available for free for the residents of New Mexico. And the particular program that I run is called the Self-Management Programs. So we teach and have workshops on how to manage chronic conditions, also diabetes, chronic pain, cancer, thriving and surviving, and a couple others. They're also available in Spanish. So that's where my focus is going to be over this next week, and then I'll come back and really put another video together. So thank you so much for your time. I look forward to continuing to share. I hope this brings a sense of peace, and yeah, may we continue to help and support one another. So happy Sunday. Whatever's happened this past week, just let it all go. Know that we're going to begin a new week, and every moment we can begin afresh. The last thing I want to say is that in the videos that I tried to post, I recognized that the content is too complex to try to put into a video. The thoughts that I have are scattered all over the place. Sessions that you have with me, this is how my mind works. So I weave and flow everywhere, as you've discovered, in just watching this video alone. So what I want to state is that in the guidance, in the channeling recordings, there were 2 posts that came out of that. The first one came up a couple of days ago that I posted today. It took me a while to find it. I posted it 2 days ago, and then it just completely disappeared, and so I had to really dig deep and find it, and it turns out that it's a note. So I published a note to the page that talks about changing the mind. That was guidance that was given 2 days ago, and then today is all guidance on how do we maneuver the storm of our mind. So that one isn't written yet, but I have all of the recordings and everything that I need to put that together, and I'm really excited to piece it because it helps me. And then I feel that putting it together in a post itself could help so many. So I really look forward to that. So you can look to those published notes. And again, thank you for your time. Happy Sunday. Let's have a better, good week.